Shut up and sit down.
That's awesome.
Hey, it's where the big boys play. SICW.
All right, welcome to Spread Read Podcast, everybody. Episode number 69, a favorite number between all wrestlers and, well, hopefully all men. Anyway, today our special guest is James Harris Sr., the CEO of Independent St. Louis Wrestling Hall of Fame, an MMWA referee, and a prior referee for SICW as well. Thanks for joining us today, James. Or Jimmy.
Well, so he might be James to everyone else or Jimmy Harris, but to a lot of the local wrestlers and around the scene, he will always be boss to us. How you doing,
He's
Mr.
probably,
Boss?
I say he's probably the first ref that we ever worked with. I mean, before we got our first match, before we ever got our first match, he helped us at the actual training center.
Yeah, that's true too. Yeah. So besides you being the president of the St. Louis, what's the
Independent
actual
St. Louis Hall of Fame.
Independent St. Louis Wrestling Hall of Fame.
Right.
You were a ref for a lot of companies, but
Right.
you were also a wrestler.
Yeah, I started off training with Slick Rick Robinson back in like '86. That's when we were in the back room of the old South Pro Athletic Club. We didn't have the training center. And in order to even get in to train, I had to help break that ring down from the back room, take it out front for the wrestling show, set it back up, break it back down, take it back, and set it back up for Monday so we could practice again. And at that time, we were getting paid hot dogs and beer and soda. So, yeah, we didn't know what money looked like back then.
I don't know if you met me, but I can eat a lot of hot dogs.
Well, the problem was I was low man on the pole, so I got some bread, I think, and leftover soda. But
oh my god!
But Rick Robinson started training me back there, and that's I'm a tall guy. I'm not the shortest referee you probably ever will see. Even a wrestler, I was a pretty good sized guy, and then Rick used to always pick me up for a superplex, where I always hit my dang head in that ceiling in that back room every time. Yeah, he's like, "Well, you're supposed to duck." I'm like, "Okay, we ain't supposed to lift me that damn high either," but that's how it goes.
For a lot of people that don't or haven't been to Broadway, there's the big open area that has the ring for the shows that holds the 500 plus seats and has a stage and everything. But there's a little back room that was probably the storage room for the bar and everything else that was crammed in there. Because I think it holds a pool table now or something. But the transition from the big room to the back room, you lose. I mean, I'm 6'2", 6'3" on a good day, and I would probably be able to hit. Especially when you're in the ring, you can almost hit your head on the ceiling. So I don't even know how they would have picked it up for a superplex.
I don't know. It was a nightmare. I told them we won't do that again. That's for sure.
You had to bend at the waist.
Yeah. So then, my goal was I wanted to get in the ring, be a wrestler, and so I trained, and then I worked for the prison system. So I ended up getting injured working at the prison system, and that took care of my wrestling career real fast. So I ended up injuring my back and stuff. I also worked at the prison, which few people know. I actually worked at a prison with Ox Baker when he was there.
Wow.
He didn't last long. He didn't last long, but he was there. He liked to put his hands on the inmates a lot, but you know how that goes. But
Well, back in the day, wasn't that more allowed?
Well, that it was at some point, but at the time he was doing it, wasn't in an active removal of an inmate. Let's say. Yeah. He was practicing wrestling with these guys, and that was not okay. So
that's awesome.
Back then, in California, they used to teach the officers out there how to accidentally trip the inmates and people you arrested, and so they couldn't be charged.
Well,
I think
you know,
that's why we called him boss, because even at the shows, when he was upstairs with the wrestlers, he still carried his nightstick, and he liked to jab it into you. So you had to show the man respect, otherwise you never knew if you're going to get cold cocked in the back of the head.
Hey, sometimes you guys get out of line. You have to be taught right.
So, how long do you say you were actually an active wrestler?
I didn't get to be an actual wrestler for very long, and probably about 5-6 months. I didn't really get to have my first show like you guys did, go out and showcase. And then when I was getting ready to think I was going to be able to do it, and next thing I know, I was tore up and back and bulging disc and all that fun stuff. So that was the end of that,
Yeah.
Then Tony and Herb and mainly Tony, Tony Costa, he says, you got a lot of time in, you got the background, you got the experience, there's something else we can find for you to do. And we talked about refereeing, and that's when Ed Smith got involved with me and was talking to me about refereeing. And so I did a lot of stuff under Ed Smith. And at that time, Terry Riley was just on his way out, and Bobby Patton was on his way up to between him and Cowboy Bob. Remember him? Refereeing.
Oh,
yeah, and that was the joke with us three. It was Bob was the heel referee, Bobby was the baby referee, and I was referee. I didn't like none of you. I didn't care.
So I must have came in, of course, when you're a referee, but Bob, Mr. Orton was a referee at the time. I remember him being one of the guys for the Missouri license, where he would check off to see if you were still licensed and good and everything like that.
Bob was. Yeah, he was working for the state at that time. He was a state commissioner. So yeah, he was guy checking all our paperwork, make sure we were correct to even be in the ring. It's pretty strict. Missouri side anyway.
Right. I mean, me and Bobby still carry our licenses for Missouri because we always dabble into that state as well.
So did he ever say like, your ref's not qualified, but I'm here and I can ref?
Yeah, no, I never had that issue with him. No. There's kind of times I probably wish he would have jumped in there, because many nights I was by myself. So there's a couple nights I would have loved to have him in there with me. I think for almost a year, I think it was, I was the only referee for MMWA and SICW. So yeah,
there are definitely times where I see you guys and I'm like, I think they sweated more than I did.
Dude. Especially at South Broadway, it's like it's like they ever worked, and I always found a cool spot when I had a break, and I make sure I stood right there.
There's
just
a
to try to cool
there?
down. Yeah, and I knew exactly where it was at, so it worked out great for me. But I didn't share that because you guys would have hogged it up on me. So
I never found a cool spot.
Yeah, and you never will.
After you were a ref for how many years would you say you were actually reffing?
Oh God, I refereed for almost 28 years.
Wow, that's a very long time. Now, eventually you switched over to being almost like a commissioner for MMWA.
Yeah, when I retired out of ring action, I got diagnosed with severe RA, and it was getting harder to get up and down. My hands were swollen like the size of balloons. My feet and legs were swollen real bad. And it was hard to get up and down. And I watched a lot of referees over the years let themselves go. And, I love the business, but I didn't want to look like garbage. And for me, if I look like garbage, that means you guys look like garbage. And it's not fair to the guys that I work in the ring with. And so I wanted to go out on a strong note while I still could, that's why I went out the way I did.
The reason why I'm bringing you up as being the commissioner for MMWA is everyone knows that when you're a champion of the organization, it's because they know that you can handle the pressure of being the champion, being able to carry the company on your back, And when you were the commissioner, you actually gave me the opportunity to win that championship and and carry that. And
Yeah.
I just want to give you props for allowing me to, because that was my first heavyweight title for any company. And I just want to say thank you for putting that on me. That I mean, that's awesome. And
Yeah.
I will never forget that, because I know at the time it was a bunch of things going on. like in wrestling,
Right.
there's always a bunch of things internally going on.
Oh
And,
yeah.
right. And so I was happy to pick up the ball and roll with it.
Yeah.
But so since you retired from being an active ref and being a commissioner
Hmm.
/ wrestler as well in the early days, you have now started your own. Well, I mean, it was your idea to start this, right?
Yeah, because at the time I was a commissioner, I was also the booker. I was also the matchmaker. I was also the storyline guy. So I was also the guy that had to do all the blood work and all the state work and all that good stuff, all the paperwork. So yeah, I
Did a lot of
learned real
hats.
fast, real quick. Oh, dude, yeah. When I took commissioner job, I didn't realize what I got myself into.
Tony pretty much just gave you the reins, huh?
Yeah, it was like, now make it work. I'm like, okay,
There you go.
For a while, we worked with Brandon. Espinoza helped me with a lot of helped with a lot of the bookings and stuff. And then he moved on, and then I ended up doing all the bookings, and then handled all that stuff. And then when I left, I wanted to leave, and it was time to take a break. I guess God had better other things for me to do,
Right.
and one of the things that I had started doing before I left, though, I had started the Independent St. Louis Wrestling Hall of Fame while I was still the commissioner, booker, matchmaker, blah, 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 all that good stuff towards the end of my time as commissioner. So I was juggling that too. And so when I put it together, the idea was that I wanted to encapsulate all the talent that had came through St. Louis. St. Louis is, as far as I'm concerned, I don't care what anybody else says, St. Louis has always been the hub for professional wrestling.
Yes.
Everything
Amen.
that came through here came through St. Louis. If you didn't know Sam Munchnick, you didn't get nowhere in St. Louis, and then who feeds those type of shows? It's the independent people. We bring them up, we train them, we bring them up so they can move up to those shows. Without the independent circuit, you don't have that. And there's a lot of people that were not getting recognized for what they did to help bring us to where we were at, as I say, the pass down. So they trained us, and then we were passing it on to train them. When we were training people at the gym, we weren't charging people at that time. The only thing we actually was give me at least 5 years, and then you could move on to whatever you want to do, and that was because we gave free training. I mean, that's how we did it for years. And so when I did this, it was the idea of I want to put in the top of the tops, the people that help catapult us all to where we're at now. And so the
Definitely.
first two people we put in was definitely the two top promoters at the time, and that was Herb and Tony. So we put them in. And actually, I was sneaky about how I did it. I put Tony in, so I talked Herb into help me put Tony in. Tony wasn't aware he was going in. But at the same time, Herb wasn't aware that I was putting him in. So it
That's
worked
awesome.
out smooth. Yeah, so it worked out smooth. So I talked with his sons and stuff, and we made arrangements, and I got them both. Surprised them both that night. So it worked out great, and the part of that is to seeing Wanda and Mickey were crying and stuff, and that it made it worthwhile. That means you're doing something right. And
Definitely.
so, Tony helped out with the next group, which there's some people I think should have been first, but it is what it is. and so as we went on, and I left, and the hall went with me because the hall belongs to me. So I'm the owner, operator. I'm under contract with Nick right now in the Pro T-shirt shop. He does my artwork and stuff like that. And so, but I'm sole owner of the Hall of Fame. Well, then I started getting messages from different wrestlers and promoters, and well, Jimmy, you can't do this, you can't do that with a hall. And I was like, wow, everybody's telling me what I can't do, and then I'm watching some of their halls, and they're doing exactly what they told me not to do.
Oh,
So I'm like, boy, ain't that something? Okay, you know. So then what I did was, since I had left Broadway and I left SICW, but you know, I left. I felt like on good terms with everybody, you know, and I try to stay peaceful with everybody as I can. And I decided I want to put together. You know, COVID had hit, and we couldn't do the halls for those next 2 years or so. So then what I did was I was working with another talk show, and I managed to go ahead and for those 2 years still put people in. And I had the one event where we brought them to the podcast room, and we did a podcast giving them their plaques. That's how I did Ron Powers, Blackheart, and all those guys. And so that gave them time to have their own time to talk on the podcast about their experiences, why they were there. So they had their own time,
Yeah.
And then I said, well, then when COVID went away, then we started talking. And I said, well, you know what? I need to put a board together. So I managed to put a board of directors together. That way it wasn't just people saying, oh, I'm picking my partners and my buddies. You know, that was the first thing out of everybody's mouth. Oh, you're going to pick all your partners, your buddies.
Right.
And
everyone
so all the time, I still get it. And I was like, so I put a board together, and it consisted of John Blackheart. John Blackheart was one of the guys that was trained the trainer. He trained everybody, for Christ's sakes, I think, somewhere down the line. Billy Diamond. I put Billy Diamond on the board. Big Mama Love. We put Dara the Irish Terrier in her, and I gotta watch her. She's still yanking people's pants down. She gets a chance. I gotta watch her. So you put that kind of group together. You got a good, strong background. And then I got different people I reach out to. So Philly Blunt, he wants to be the guy behind the scene, which I'm okay with that. He's like helping out with maybe searching for some guys that may want to be a part of the show. Help finance, and I'm okay with that. Because out of pocket gets tough quick. So
right. I mean, what I like about your Hall of Fame is, you make it a special evening.
Yes.
At least the last couple of years, after COVID, it's been a special evening with a great dinner. It's like the dining, and it's like a whole presentation. It's so cool when it's done professional.
Yeah. Right. And that's what we wanted. I wanted something unique and different. I've watched a lot of these other ones. They, bring a dish, and while you're going into the hall thing, and I'm like, I don't trust other people's food. Especially guys like Bobby D, you never know what's going to be in there. I got to watch him.
Some shit that you don't want to eat.
Yeah, right. Right. Very real special. So
you're gonna be feeling funky after.
That's why we keep our eye on you, brother. So I wanted to be unique and different. A lot of people are doing it in the ring type thing, and that's great to a point. My thing was, how do I honor the people that we're putting in and be more respectful, to what we were doing. So the last two I've booked Andre's Banquet Hall, and we've held it there, and we do it in the afternoon. So we've been going from 12 to 3. I think next year's we're going to go 12 to 4. I need that extra hour. Some of you guys are long-winded, don't know how to just say what you got to say and move on.
I can see that you do need that extra hour, because I did a count on how many people went in this year, and it's 13.
Yeah. And then you start putting guys in like Lunatic Max, and then I had Pete Madden there with his stories that he couldn't wait to tell. And then, you get Smooches there, which is under Judge Tough Love now. And then you get guys like that.
Smooches to me. He'll never be that Tough Love or whatever.
Well, that's why I said, too, I showed, as a matter of fact, I pulled a bunch of old videos that I had on DVD, and I was playing some of them during the show while they were eating dinner. So I played some, and one of them was him coming out in his smooches outfit with the earrings and the 900 yards. So and there, his whole family's pointing over, going, "Look at that! Look at that!" And like, yeah, I'm just embarrassed everybody. So it worked out great, you know.
Yeah.
You know, and then you get guys like Al up there. Al likes to talk a long time, and then we actually had Attila Khan was there to induct Johnny Jett, so that was interesting. And then Luke Roberts came along. You know, Spike Huber could be there, but Luke Roberts, my God, that guy knows so much about different wrestlers and research and stuff, and he did a great job helping us put Spike Huber in and stuff. So that worked out beautifully. Herb's gonna make sure Spike gets the plaque for me. So you know, I mean, it turned out to be a great night. You know, you get a meal, you get a drink, but I don't pay for the alcohol drinks. So you know, we did a cash bars for those that felt the need to have that. You know, but it's about it was about giving them the opportunity to be recognized for what they did, and a lot of people that presented their people to put in knew their background, knew their history, traveled with them and stuff. So it worked out beautifully, you know. And I always allow the guys going in to tell me who they like to put them in. They get the opportunity to pick the pictures they would like to have on their plaques, because we give them plaques to take home. So that's theirs to keep.
Nice.
So that's something they can pass on to their families and stuff, you know. And so that's kind of like the unique touch. I think a lot of people love that stuff. And so
I'm gonna cut you off for a second, because
yeah, go ahead.
some of the previous, we'll go more into this year's group, but some of the previous members, I mean, you already called out Herb and Tony, but
Right.
Danny Boy, Ron Powers, Rick Brewer, of course, John Blackheart, the Exterminator. You know,
Yep.
God knows I
Lumberjack,
love that
Keith
guy.
Smith, Dave Hepner.
Oh yeah.
Of course, Billy Diamond, Philly Blunt, Bobby Patton. I mean,
Yeah.
Giant Assassin, which I was told everybody wanted to work.
Yeah, they did. Yeah. It's not enough to hear me yell, shave your back.
But just that class alone, I mean, that just brings back so many memories, you know, because you know, was it Rick Brewer? He was the first one that, you know, ever told me, and I've brought this story up before, but he goes, man, if you ever get into a match and you two are clashing, and you know, you need to be able to protect yourself, and you need to be able to do this and that, and he goes, and if it's some mean bastard and you want to get ahead of the game, I want you to dip your hands in some lemon juice. Get those fingers all soaked up with lemon. And that very first tie up, you reach in, you grab his eyes, and you just put those fingers in his eyes. And I'm thinking, what the fuck did I just get into?
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
But God, and
Now
you
you
know,
lick your hand
Exterminator.
before a chop.
I can't say enough about the Exterminator, because Gino, you know, I hated him and loved him at the same time. It's a very weird feeling, because man, he would beat the piss out of you, but you would respect the fuck out of him too. You know,
Oh yeah.
it's one of those. I mean, I'm glad that I got to see that style of training, because you know, it's no secret I'm one of the coaches for the Ace Academy, and
Yeah.
this generation, with, you know, they're safe, you know, they all got to have a safe place, and you can't you know, verbally assassinate
Abuse
them,
them.
because
Right.
they get all butt hurt,
Right.
and
Right.
yeah, it's just amazing me how the times have changed. You know, what's that saying? Was it hard times create hard men create easy times create you know, pussies. That's the rotation we're on right now. You know, because
Right.
it's kind of easy compared to, you know, back in the day. So we're all in the generation of don't hurt my feelings, or I won't, you know, stay or
Right.
come back or anything. Man, back in the day.
Well, obviously, people don't watch our podcast because we tease everybody.
Well, no, I mean, back in the day, depending on who showed up, my first stint was through the Gino Harris, exterminator, and it was just a rough, dirt and grimy fucking atmosphere. And then my
Yeah.
second stint with Bobby D bringing me back into the fold, it was more of Ty Dalton, Jeremy Lightfoot, where it
Right.
was slowly getting it was definitely changing from what my first stint was to the second stint, and being a coach now this year is man, it's different.
Yeah. I used to love being in the practice gym because they used to hate when I walked in there. They started panicking as soon as I walked in the door because they knew I was handling the cardio for the longest time. And because my thing was, if you can't last 5-10 minutes with me, you're not going to last at all. And I'm in the ring, I'm all over the place. Well, and everybody realized, referee, you don't do nothing but just stand there. So no, not this referee. This referee moved all over the ring, and I was mixed into everything. So Gino, which is my cousin, more, he used to get so mad at me. He's a Pall Mall smoker. and I would get him in there doing cardio, and I make that man sweat just walking in the door, but I had him pouring in sweat, and he would yell at me all the time. He said, "Damn, cuz, you trying to kill me?" I said, "Oh, you're still breathing. You're all right. Move on. Give me 50 more of those. You ain't done."
And the funny thing is back when I would smoke cigarettes, and now I'm on this smoker thing, but I used to be a pack and a half a day, and being up in the locker room, of course, back then you're allowed to smoke.
Right.
And so other wrestlers be out, watching me chain smoking cigarettes and then go downstairs and have a 15-20 minute match and come back upstairs. And most of the time I wasn't breathing heavy or anything like that. And they're like, how
Right.
the fuck do you do that? Well, there's a difference between cardio outside of the wrestling ring and cardio inside, because, and I tell my new students all the time, I say, you guys work too fast. I'm slow, not really methodical, but I'm slow, and you're going to work my pace. There's no way to blow each other up, in the ring. You gotta. But
yeah. He's got one of the speed governors on. He mows about 5. Well, it was the same way. Static reached out to me, and I went to a couple of his places that he was set up for training, and a lot of the guys, and I hadn't been in the ring in a while, and they had a guy who was trying to learn to referee, and then I went up there and trying to talk them through how to referee and stuff, and what looks good, what they need to be working on and stuff. And then so the guy said, "Well, can you show me?" So I did a practice match, and his jaw was just like hitting the ground. He's like, "What?" It's like, yeah, if you come here just to stand, you don't want me training you, because my referees don't stand. My referees bump, they roll, they take drops, bumps, everything, because you never know what you're going to be needing to do. Because I never forget the day Ron Powers picked me up and spike pile drive me in the middle of the ring. So, so I was like, yeah, you never know what's going to happen, and then I was just watching an old video with him and Gary. We had a lumberjack match, and Ron's pushing me. I was pushing him back, and then he pushed me again. I pushed him again, and then Ron hit the ground. And everybody's going, "Oh shit!" He's on, yeah, it's getting busy now. Even Herb's on the background announcing, saying, "Yeah, I wouldn't be Jimmy Harris right now." But it's always been a fun time.
13 people got, so break it down for me. So it's a committee. You guys get together.
Right.
You guys just come up with names, or do you have
we start
rosters, or?
We start going through and we think about all the different wrestlers out there, and then we start looking at who's retired, because in order to go in our Hall of Fame, you need to be retired. I'm still kind of mad at the Lumberjacks. They kind of screwed me a little bit there, but it's okay. You get me once, you don't get me twice. So, but my rule is, the rule that I set with the board was that they must be retired. I don't care if they do like commissioner or maybe a manager background thing, but in ring action, you're done. because to me, what sense does it make to put you in the Hall of Fame if you're still actively running around tackling people and stuff? To me, the Hall of Fame represents people that retired, did their time. Now it's time to listen to the stories and see the old matches and get some of their history and their background. So our guys pull a list. We get a list of names together. Everybody pulls out about 5 names each and comes with them. We all sit down and have our get-togethers, and this last one was like furious messaging on Messenger. I mean, it was like nonstop messaging. My wife was like, sleep on the couch with your phone type moment, because I mean, that's how involved we are with wanting to do this the right way. And so we go through the list and we figure out where have they worked at? Were they more than one company type person? Because that's where they were coming at saying, well, you're just picking MMWA guys or just SICW guys. But if you look at our list, these guys worked all over the place. A lot of these folks did. I don't think there's too many people under there, just single wrestling group. I think everybody there had at least 3 to 4 different wrestling organizations and went to, and more. Some of those guys went over to New Japan. Some of those guys were WCW guys, NWA, AWA. So it was like all kinds of different groups of people, different places. So then we look at that, and then we look at contribution to the wrestling and what they've done to help with wrestling and promote wrestling, or I used to do the teddy bear thing, bring a teddy bear once a year. And then those teddy bears we gave out to all the first responders so they would have them for when they responded to scenes where children were involved. And they had something to give to those children to deal with that trauma. And then we did different shows with Herb and them when we gave away the backpacks and the bikes and stuff like that. So it's about contribution of giving back. Fans give to us. What do we give back to the fans?
Right.
And so a lot of that people on that list that did something or other that gave back. Hell, how many free Julys did we used to do? None of us got paid. All that money went to something, for other things and charity work we've done. All of us have done charity work at one time or another. So then we go through that list. We pick out a number that we want to put in, and then everybody gets a vote. So we have to narrow it down. We got 20 names. You got to narrow it down to 13 real fast. So you got to figure out who are you going to push. And so everybody would get 2 picks of who they would like to see. And then we narrow it down to that, and then we vote on it. So everything's a vote process. The only time I'm going to veto a vote if I do a background on somebody and figure out, well, they don't represent wrestling the way we need them to wrestle it, or they got involved with the law, doing something immoral, impractical, or they were just, what I call predators. I'm law enforcement for 36 years, so it's hard for me to take a guy and put him in a hall, which I don't think is deserving because of some illegal activities or something inappropriate they did during shows and stuff. I'm not promoting that kind of people into a Hall of Fame.
Yeah, you don't need a negative publicity. They say all publicity is good publicity, but you don't want the negative stigma, associated with a Hall of Fame.
No, I mean
I'm surprised how many independent pro wrestlers and pro wrestlers went into law enforcement at some time in their career. That's one thing that continually comes up.
Well, the funny thing, I'm just going to butt in for a second. Wrestlers, it's a whole mix. And it's funny, too, that some of them will be police officers or working for the jail system. And then you got the ones that are locked up behind bars.
Yeah.
It's definitely a mix. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, there's not many times I couldn't count how many times I had to turn around and become that law enforcement officer during a show and say, "Okay, this is no longer referee Jimmy Harris. This is Jimmy Harris on the clock, on duty with badge on, telling you this is what's going to happen. This is what you're going to do, or I'm going to assist you in doing that." That's happened on more than one occasion with several wrestlers and former girlfriends, wives, and things of that sort that showed up at the show fighting. I can't count how many times I've knocked somebody off the ring that would try to get in the ring to get at Ron Powers or Gary Jackson or somebody. I had to be the first guy to knock them off the apron before they got in the ring, so I've had that happen numerous times. So, yeah. And I think that's why my funny story with Larry Mazak was Larry told me about it, and I kind of like, are you serious? And he said, yeah. He said he had an interview with a lady about wrestling, and she had asked who was the toughest guy in the locker room. She said, you want to know the truth? It's probably our referee. He said, she goes, what? What do you mean? He says, well, he does this for a living. He locks guys up and takes them out of cells and throws them on the ground and cuffs them up. So he's probably my toughest guy in the locker room right now. So that was my fun story with Larry.
Almost a caretaker to those people too, because if a fan crosses that barrier and gets in, it's a free for all. And if you're not there to protect the fan, someone like a Ron Powers is going to beat the piss out of that fan if he's not escorted out as soon as possible.
Well, anybody took a chair shot from Ron Powers will understand why I saved your life.
Right.
There's a lot of wrestlers that take a lot of pride and fun in that situation.
Yes, they would.
It was this is a long time ago, but it was Ron Powers versus Mr. Bibbs, and Mr. Bibbs took, I couldn't tell you how many chair shots that night from Ron.
I've heard this story a few times. 11 is what he ended up with.
And Mr. Bibbs come up and was, of course, bitching. I would be bitching too, but Ron looked at him and he goes, "Hey, if you don't want the chair shots, roll to your back."
Yeah. That's the way you're going to stop it. Yeah.
Like, good to know.
Yeah. Well, Billy Blunt had the same story because I remember Billy Blunt and Ron having a match when we were still at the schools over there in Illinois, and they ended up going up in the bleachers. And Ron beat him with the chair up into the bleachers, and he went all the way down. Philly Blunt went all the way down the bleachers. I think he got a concussion that night. I was like, yeah, well, they're used to doing that Abdullah Butcher and Ron Power matches, and Bruiser Brody matches, and Bill. So yeah, they fight all over the place over in Illinois. So you had to be ready to rock and roll, and move fast.
I didn't get. Normally, I ask the guests this too. What actually got you involved in the wrestling? I mean, everyone starts off as a fan, but what was your, was it NWA? Was it AWA? Or was it the Texas?
I watched, when I was younger, I was watching, everybody watched Wrestling at the Chase, Channel 11, you came home from church just in time to catch the Wrestling at the Chase. And then after that, it was WCCW. That was the Texas Wrestling. That's the Von Erichs, Freebirds, Iceman, King Parsons, Chris Adams, all those guys. So I watched that faithfully, and then because at the time, I think if I remember, AWA was still when cable was just starting to come into play, and not all of us had that luxury of cable at that time. So WCW and Wrestling at the Chase were the two main ones that I always would see, And so, grew up watching that. And then Rick Robertson was in my neighborhood, and I was friends with Big Tim Miller, which is Little Timmy's dad, when they were all kids. And, Rick used to tell me, Jimmy, he says, you're a good, tall guy. I could really use you. Come on down, check this out. And I went down to the White House and watched a bunch of the shows when they were wrestling at the White House. Yeah, guy, I'm showing my age now, So
yeah, because I don't even know anything about this White House.
Oh yeah, it used to be a place called the White House. They used to wrestle at, and that was and it was like a 2-story, like you had 2 levels and tables, and Rick would bring his guy out, which was I think it was Bill Osborne at the time, and slammed his head into my table and spilled my beer, dirty dog. But slammed his head into the table while I was at the White House, and that's kind of what got me started. And so I started going training with him. That's when I started going down there and training with him. When other guys weren't around, he'd take me in the ring, and I would work on like Tuesdays and Wednesdays with him in the ring and stuff. And then that time I was working Section 8 housing, so I was doing armed canine work and stuff in Section 8 housing. And So I did some training there, and back then I was a nice thin guy. Back then, now I'm a big porker now. But back then I could have run pretty quick too. So so I started doing that, and then I went to work for Missouri State Penitentiary, and that's when I got injured at. But he got me involved in it, and then I started doing different stuff with them, and then they liked my style. I tell all my guys, come up with your own style. So when I came up with my own style, that's when I started getting noticed by a lot of you guys. Matter of fact, I got to the point where I was requested. That's how Bigtime came along, because they wanted me for all the big matches. And then that's when Ron took me with him to go meet Harley Race, because I was Ron's personal referee for a while at Harley Race with WLW. And then Gary introduced me to Carol Brown, and Carol Brown was doing a lot of stuff north, and a lot of those were free shows for the underprivileged kids and stuff. So it was fun just go out and do those type of things. And then me and Moondog hooked up, and next thing I know, I'm traveling to Tennessee with the Moondog, working in Tennessee, and those were interesting days, and then Smooches invited me to go work with him in Michigan with his TWXE he had out there. And so, matter of fact, Smooches told me when he was here this last time around, he said he had a guy that would watch my videos how to referee. He had a referee that he wanted to be similar to me. And he says that guy was the first guy he had that came even close to what I was doing. So that was an honor to me. I was like, wow, man, you really think that highly of me. And that just, set the cake for me, and then when the state gave us those plaques, gave me my, for being the top referee in the state of Missouri, professional wrestling in the state of Missouri, I was like, wow, you actually did something that people are recognizing. And, matter of fact, a couple of wrestlers get mad at me because I sold more merchandise and got better pops than they did. So, that tells you something, right?
It does too. 'Cause I don't even think the state hands that out anymore.
No, I think I was the last one to get one.
Yeah.
See, you ruined it for everybody else, there, Jimmy.
Well, I can't help it, man. Step your game up.
I mentioned this when we were still off the air. Mr. Harris there, he would motivate wrestlers in the ring as well during their matches. I can recall a time where I was wrestling that Moondog, and I get a chop in the corner, and you can bleep somewhere, Nathan, but I hear, "Is that all you got, you fucking pussy?" And next thing I know, he's chopping it harder, and there's motivating jabs out there during the match too.
Well, when you start realizing you're losing your audience and you don't have the crowd participation, I got to get it going somehow. You're not going to do it, so
Oh, that's awesome.
Isn't the referee supposed to be the ring general, though? Aren't you supposed to dictate the match, how quick it goes?
Well, technically no, but he's there.
Well, and that was another compliment that was given me by Herb and Tony, the respect that they gave me because I showed them that I was about business. If I messed up, I remember many times Ed Smith coming over and said, "What the F are you doing, you asshole? Don't ever let me see you do that shit again." I'm like, okay, Ed, I'm sorry.
You don't have to censor yourself, guys. Everybody knows what we're about.
Okay, well, I'm sorry. I'm a old family school wrestling guy, so But yeah, like I said, it was just that they gave me that much respect. And then I remember when one of the guys had messed up, I hit a 3, and they come back there screaming, hollering at me, like, "Man, you were supposed to cut that. Ain't how that was supposed to end." I said, "Well, ain't my fault. You get your shoulders up. It ain't my issue. You're not gonna make me look stupid." And he was screaming, hollering at me. And then Tony and Herbert came in and heard them. And they said, "Jim, go on." And then they went off on him. And then I don't think he wrestled for about a month or so after that. It's like, it's not my job. I'm not going to look stupid because you can't do what you're supposed to do,
Yeah, that's the worst thing is, when it happens, you don't want the ref to look any other way except for official.
Right.
I don't want my ref, like the one thing that I always want, which Jimmy always did, was a cadence to that count. It was consistent with the the time between 1, 2, and 3. Then
Yeah.
I can think about it. I can time it. I don't even have to look at that ref to know to kick out. I know when it's coming. It's whenever
Yeah,
they
that's-
want to start getting all 1, 2, 3. It's like that's when
Yeah.
it's no good.
Well, you know, my thing was, you know, like you said, Bob, you know, how stupid does it look when the guy pulls a 3? You know, and you're like, oh, that little stutter, you know, what the hell was that? You know, my thing was be loud, keep your stroke of your hand the same, you know, speed the same. But I used to tell guys too, if I tell you to take it home and you BS me and don't do it, I said, I'll show you the fastest 3 you ever saw in your life. You know, I was like, I'll show you how to take this shit home, but you know, but that was the respect that I had earned with Herb and Tony, and I didn't have to wear an earpiece and somebody tell me how to do something, you know. And then it got to the point where Herb and Tony would tell people, say, hey, when Jimmy knows what I need done, if he tells you take it home, you take it home, you know, you're done. You know, my job was to read that crowd, pay attention to times as much as possible, and keep my eye over there on that table every now and then to see what's going on. Look for a signal for something, you know, and then be in the ear of my guys and say, hey, pick it up, slow it down. Hey, you got about 2, 3, get ready to take it home, you know. That's an art, and it's an art that I don't see with a whole lot of folks anymore. You know, that's why I can't watch WWE and those guys. I hate seeing those earpieces in their head. I said, if you can't figure it out by now, you're not meant to be there.
Hey, do you remember when WCW put cameras on the refs?
Yes.
And it definitely looked odd, you know, when they went to, like if they switched angles and had the camera that was looking into the ring.
Right.
But I think that would almost work nowadays if, well, one, if it didn't have a microphone, and, you know,
Right.
if they didn't have to wear the big old helmet looking things, you know, but
Right.
it would be still a cool angle, you know, from a ref's point of view.
Right.
Of the match. I think it would still give great, but you know, back then, yeah, they had those big old helmets that they were wearing with the camera on top.
Right, with a camera and a light on it. Yeah.
Hell,
Nowadays,
now
you
they'll
could just do like a
have
body cam.
glasses with the camera and it will work just fine.
Yeah.
You could do like
Well,
police
nowadays,
officers, just put a body cam on.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. They look like a cop's episode, yeah. But
You're
yeah, I
gonna
mean,
have that rep with the body cam and Philly Blunt in there.
right. Well, you know, that was another, you know, with Philly Blunt, he had come up with different ideas, you know, because he had played different characters and stuff. And matter of fact, I got him the jumpsuit that he originally wore. So, and then that was mine. Yes. And that was his little gimmick, because then I would pat him down like I would an inmate and stuff, and with his hands behind his head on his knees and stuff, you know. So people bought into that really well, you know. So it worked out great, you know. And I mean, we had fun with it, and that was my thing. As long as I'm having fun, you know, I don't think we really looked too much into the money part of it as much as we were just having fun doing it, you know. And then the crowd pops and the fans that we were getting along the way, it just made it worthwhile, you know. And nowadays I see these guys and they're always cussing, spitting, and all that other nonsense. I'm like, if you can't get heat without cussing somebody or flipping them off or something, then you're just no good to me at that point, because that's not what we're about, you know. So, you know, a lot of these guys are like that.
Even in the new, you know, my trainees, that when they first get in there, and I, you know, first after they've been doing the basics, and then I start having them work matches, you know, they immediately think if they got to get heat, that's the way to do it. And
Yeah.
you know, I keep telling them is that no, and especially with SICW, there's no
Right.
finger flicking or no cuss words. You know,
Right.
you know, a slip every now and then, but you know, I guess the era of the Stone Cold really shook them into oh well, you gotta flick them off, you gotta do this.
Right.
Like, no,
Which
you're missing
these
the
kids
whole
are a little young for
concept.
Stone Cold.
Well, you know, but that was just it though. You know, like yeah, guys like Big Daddy and even Travis Cook. I hate mentioning SpongeBob's name, but you know, I mean, Travis can get heat without saying one cuss word. You know,
right.
and to me, that makes it fun for everybody, and you're willing to bring your kids to stuff like that and watch stuff like that. You know, it's
I
too
always
Yeah, the
easy
think
to
last
back
one
to
cuss.
that SICW hasn't been back in over a year.
Yeah.
I always think back to
Well,
like a Nick Bockwinkel where he could talk eloquently and just piss everybody off.
oh, absolutely. J.J. Dillon, he used to do it. He talked. He never hardly ever raised his voice, but he could piss you off in 2.5 seconds. Uh, you know, Jimmy Hart's the one that had to have the stupid megaphone thing, but
Yeah.
you know, I could live without that. But it's all good. But I say,
Uh,
it's not like it used to be, man. And then how many times I watch guys talk about matches, they spend hour 45 minutes going over a match and not even do 5% of what they said they were going to do. My rule was as a referee, I just need to know how you're going to start it, how it's going to finish. The middle we'll figure it out as we go.
yeah.
I didn't need all that nonsense.
Hey, let's go over this year's inductees. So
Sure.
I mean, it's now. Let me just ask: this is the first year you had so every year wasn't this loaded, was it? Or
No,
has
no.
it
For a
been?
while we were doing 2 or 3, 4 or 5 here and there, and then we start realizing that a lot of guys we want to put in were disappearing or were dying
Okay.
on us, and we really said, you know what, we need to pick up pace a little bit. When we put Rick Brewer in, I mean, if you look at the old pictures that we have of Rick Brewer from the Hall of Fame, you wouldn't recognize it was Rick Brewer. Uh, these guys are on walkers and wheelchairs, and uh, one guy is completely immobile that he has to use a device to talk. So uh, we're losing our heroes, our heels,
Right.
and so what best way to honor them and pick them back up because they're in a dark spot in their life is to honor them for their talents and what they brought to us. And I can't tell you how many thank yous I still get for doing that and doing that for them and their families, and brought people to tears, you know.
I
Yeah,
bet.
you
I
want to
mean,
name off the 13 that went in this year?
yeah, I was going to do that, but to your point, Jimmy,
Uh-huh.
if you're a wrestler, I mean, or a referee or anything, if you're in
Yeah.
wrestling, I mean, you pretty much give your life over because
Yeah.
I mean, at least me, wrestling is my life. It's
Right.
if I'm not wrestling, I'm training. If I'm not training, I'm the trainer. If I'm
Right.
not doing any of those, I'm watching wrestling or something wrestling related. And then you got those fans that are coming there just for you, and
Right.
you're trying to give them the best show. Really, any fan, you're trying to give them the best show, and sometimes that takes a lot out of you to give them the best match every month or every weekend, and
Yeah.
to be recognized for that. I mean, shit,
Yeah.
it would mean the world to everyone.
Right.
But so Uh, speaking of someone who's no longer with us, but Extreme Kimchi, she passed away. Is that what I read too?
She's still here. She was there to receive hers.
Oh, then one of the ladies, was it Little
Yeah,
Heart?
that was with Little
Heart.
Heart. Right, Little Heart.
Yeah. So yeah, I might have just
Yeah.
copied that
Yeah.
down wrong. But yeah, so Kimchi, Winona, Little Heart, Spike Hubert,
Yeah.
Lunatic Max. You know,
Yeah.
when I seen him, I was like, man, I have a videotape of me and him wrestling in RCW, and
Yeah.
you know, he still comes to a lot of the shows for ACW and stuff like that. So I
Right.
get to talk to him a lot.
I said,
Of
I
course.
believe if you go on my YouTube page, there is an RCW Battle Royal that he is in where he comes in with a milk jug.
Oh, I had him come in with a tape VCR deck and hit a guy with it. VCR tape fly everywhere, and I've had him come in with half of a fire hose strung up on Christmas tree lights and stuff. So yeah, I've been in those matches. I know how that works out. Yeah.
Yeah. Of course, probably someone that I've had so many matches with, and a lot of wrestlers tell me it's still the best cage match that they ever seen. Of course, Moondog Rover went in this year, and I'm glad he went in because if anyone has paid attention to the previous episodes, we talked about how he's had the last couple of years been very rough
Yes.
for Moondog, and
Yes.
I'm so glad that one, he's doing better because I talked to him. We were at the movie theaters. We were watching that new
Oh yeah. Roadhouse.
Roadhouse. Yes.
Yeah.
Don't get me started on that one. So we'll just bypass that. But Moondog, I was able to speak to Moondog, and I'm so glad he's doing better. And
Yeah.
you know, still being used in a way for MMWA because he told me he's like working with a lot of the new kids on different moves and training wise. So that's great.
Right.
Mr. Bibbs, you know, I've had quite a few matches with him.
Right.
I've taken a
and,
few black hole slams from him.
Yes, yes. Man, I mean, this list here just brings me back to so many memories. It's just unbelievable.
Yeah.
Lacey, and then Smooches. I mean, I
Oh yeah.
remember when he first started, and I couldn't believe they got him to do that gimmick.
Well, he told us how that gimmick came along. He actually finally admitted to it. His wife put him into that. So, yeah, his wife put him into that, and he's like, I don't want to do that, but he ended up doing it, and then it went on from there.
You know,
Well,
sometimes
there are times where you just have to tell your wife no. My old tag team partner, he got sent out of SICW, and Larry Matisick wanted a name for D for Bobby D, and my
Right.
wife was pushing at the house so hard for it to be Bobby D-licious. It's like, absolutely not.
Yeah, sometimes their advice ain't the greatest.
But you have to admit, out of the ones that flirt with that side, you know, whether it be the Flamin' Freddy gimmicks or the Purple Passion gimmicks, Smooches did a hell of a job.
Yes, he did.
And yeah, I mean, he had, you know, most of the time, not everyone is game for that kind of stuff. And you'll hear a lot of boos and like, what the hell is this bullshit? You didn't hear that with him because he played it off very well.
Yeah.
You know, so it was
He wasn't over the top with it.
Right. Johnny Jet, like you said, Attila Khan put him in. And I actually was able to listen to some of that speech about how Johnny Jet was his first match.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, that's you know, Johnny Jet was a little there before my time, but I still know who he was.
Right.
So it's very cool that he went in. Of course, you know, me and Bobby both know Chaz Wesson. I mean, we've had many a battles, and I say battles with Chaz, whether it be the old school Warriors with Keith Smith or just Chaz by himself. I mean, you know, he was known for his drop kick, but he was also known for that fucking chop.
Yeah. Well, when I started working with him, he was the rock and roll kid down at Broadway.
Rock and roll kid, wow.
Yeah, when I started working with him, yeah.
When we worked with him, he got the kid part.
Dump truck Perry.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I think he would come by. He didn't do a whole lot of training or anything, but like I remember getting introduced to him when I first started. I'm gonna butcher this last name. Chris, is it
Geisen.
Geisen?
Yeah.
I do not remember him, but I mean, shit. So many wrestlers come through the South Broadway because
Yeah,
that was the place.
he was actually, he had started, I think, if I remember correctly, he had started before Danny Boy did. So,
Holy damn.
yeah, so he wrestled around the same time as Danny Boy and Assassin and Big Daddy. Keith Smith was still a young guy in the business. I got videos of Keith when he looked thin as a rail if you saw him when he first started. So Chris was in that time frame. Matter of fact, in some of that video, I even got Steve Sharp when he had like a little box cut on his hair when he started
Oh my god.
with us. Yeah, so yeah, that's when Chris Geisen was around.
And then of course Al was it Bowman?
Yeah, Alabama. Yeah, Rockin' Al. Yeah.
Of course he was a staple. You know, I don't know if he got into the wrestling like a ref or a wrestler, but
Oh no, he was a
always
wrestler.
a sound guy.
Yeah.
But he was there forever.
Yeah, he was a wrestler. He wrestled before he got into the sound. Matter of fact, he actually wrestled Brody one of Brody's last matches before he went over to Puerto Rico.
Really?
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that about Al, but yeah, Al used to wrestle. He wrestled all over the place for a while. So yeah.
While I was still working for Big Tony, Al came out of retirement and wrestled Purple Passion.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, it used to be Rockin' Al, then it was Al Stevenson or something like that. When he retired finally out of the ring. But yeah, he wrestled Brody. That was one of his biggest guys he wrestled. So yeah.
That's a pretty big one. They don't get much bigger.
Right.
No, and
right.
enough to make you run, that's for damn sure. So yeah.
I mean,
So I mean it was a decent
that
haul.
class is stacked right there. I mean, it's
Yeah. Oh yeah, like I said, and that goes back to researching and stuff, and depending on other people that know some history and background, and talking to the right people. So like when you start talking to guys like Johnny Jett and that, or Pete Madden and them, they start throwing names at you about guys that they wrestled and stuff, and then you go back and talk to those guys, and they start throwing names about people they wrestled. So next thing you know, you're getting this big list going, and you're getting the background. Again, that's part of the legacy. So we're passing on legacies.
yeah, definitely.
So, these guys are a wealth of information that we're letting go away and not recognizing and bringing them to the forefront and saying, thank you for everything you've done for us to get to where we're at. And we would love to hear more information. Matter of fact, I got these guys writing bios and stuff, and I'm asking them to write me a bunch of bios and things. And we have some people look over and we'll put it into a book form so that we'll have all the bios with the pictures.
That's cool. And you guys did T-shirts this year too, right?
Yeah, we did T-shirts with the last class, and we'll be doing. This class just went in, so we'll be getting this stuff together, get their shirts out, and then we'll do a big Hall of Fame one with the new poster, which you have up right now. So that new poster will be on the back of the shirt with the new emblem that I had made on the front, which is the top part of that poster. So we just had that redone and remade. So I got two versions of the Independent Wrestling Hall of Fame title to put on shirts.
Is there any place that people can go to purchase those, or is it?
Right now, it's on the Facebook page. Yeah, on the Facebook page for the Independent Wrestling Hall of Fame. We'll be posting up the pictures. Matter of fact, I got a bunch of posters to put up for sale. We'll be putting the new shirts out, showing the shirts and everything, and then just contact us there, and they can message us on what sizes they need. We'll tell them how they can pay us and stuff until we get other things set up. And but yeah, Facebook, it's under the Independent St. Louis Wrestling Hall of Fame. If you don't know, hit me up, Jimmy Big Time Harris. I'm on there on Facebook, plus my regular one, Jimmy Harris Senior. But they can reach out to us, any of the board members. They got their sites up. Matter of fact, I made Moondog his Facebook page. He didn't know how to make a Facebook page for a while, so I made his page for him. So
I mean, he's a dog. How do you expect him to computer?
Well, yeah, I know. I can't even take that dog anywhere. Trying to take him somewhere is a problem. I don't understand it. But
I can't tell you how many times I've seen a pee in the ring.
yeah, well, you know better. I got to watch you too. So,
I'll tell
it's
you
just
what,
like,
I would be greatly interested in the book or something you put together with all the bios and everything, because I
oh
would
yeah,
love to know the history of the business that I'm currently helping, move along.
yeah, absolutely. Matter of fact, I reached out to Luke Roberts. Like I said, Luke Roberts has offered to help us on some of these bios. Matter of fact, he just sent me a whole list of people with all their different areas they worked in, worked with, groups they worked with, and their backgrounds and stuff. Because I asked for, send me some of the other people throughout the area, and he just sent me like 4 pages worth of stuff to go through. So
Wow.
yeah, I think he's trying to kill me. I don't know, but
Knowing Luke, there's probably only 10 minutes of research for him.
for him, yeah, that guy knows so much. It's unbelievable.
They were actually like Luke Roberts and Ben Simon, and even our announcer Drew. I mean, that there's a pack there that they're all friends. And
Yeah,
as much as I like to say I love the history of the business and the story, and I love to read books, I mean they are on it as well, and they're more
yeah,
on it on the independents. Because I remember Ben Simon always asking me, hey, can you give me the card for tonight? That he would be in St. Louis working, and I'll be in somewhere
right,
else. He goes, hey, give me that card so I can, post it and write it
yeah,
all down. And so,
yeah,
luckily, we have people like that
oh yeah,
that that does that for us, because some of the shit, I talk about it too in the previous podcast. There's matches that come back up on my Facebook timeline, or sometimes I'll research different nights of wrestling, because there's a lot of it on SICW's YouTube,
yeah.
and some of these matches I don't remember having.
I know you do so many every while. Everybody asks me, so how many matches did you referee? I'm like, hell, I don't remember. Hell, I couldn't tell
Right.
So, as long as you're going to talk about the historian and the knowledge of wrestling, might not be a great name because he did turn down the Hall of Fame this year. I'm going to mention Patrick Brandemeyer.
Oh, absolutely.
So we did that benefit show for Big Ben, and that's who I
Right.
reached out to for pictures and everything, because I did this big long promo. Went to the old skate park in Belleville where they used to run shows, and I reached
Right.
out to him and got all kinds of pictures and everything else that I
Oh, yeah.
superimposed. That man is another wealth of knowledge.
Well, and that was the reason we were going to put him in under the Jerry Bullion Award. Jerry Bullion was one of our greatest fans you'll ever see in your life. That man didn't miss an
Oh yeah.
independent show. Him and Peggy and all them, and that was the reason that we originally were going to put him in. And he has his whatever issue he had going on, and I respect that. Somewhere down the line when we rethink about him, yeah, we'll see. I won't put him completely off the list, but right now we're moving on. And
Yeah.
things happen, and we respect that, and we respect everybody. And we always ask, we don't assume, so we always ask, would you like, because some people tell you no, and I respect that, and I move on. Later on
Well,
down the line,
speaking of
they'll probably
moving on,
regret it.
speaking of moving on, Jimmy, what kind of hints do you have for us for 2025? What do you have going on?
Oh well,
I could tell
let me.
you. I say there's one person that already said on Facebook who that they're getting inducted. And I'm excited for it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's have Jimmy tell us though.
Well, what happened was it was wrapping up the end. I had to speed things up because again, I got long-winded presenters and talkers that don't know when to shut the hell up and take the time signal to speed it up. But at the end, we did announce that we're going to put 2 people in right away. That was already on top of our list to begin with, and the one had just retired, so we are putting Jeremy Lightfoot into the Hall of Fame, and we're also putting Doc in, Doc J. Lombardo. He's going in as well. And Doc's been around a lot of different places as well, different companies and stuff, and he's done different things. And he got mixed in a few matches along the way. And, Jeremy, I remember when Jeremy started, and I'm one of those guys, I get to work with a lot of guys that just get started, so it was fun. And so Jeremy had just retired, and he's taken his licking and beatings, and he's had his ups and downs. And I remember when Ed Smith got Jeremy, yeah, you're going to be pissed off at me. I'm telling you your story. I remember when Jeremy started with us at SICW, and we were over, and we told Jeremy he had to get ready for his physical before he could go into the ring. So he needed to go in the bathroom and strip down his pants down. They were going to do an exam. And he went in and did that. And Ed Smith went in with a rubber glove on. He said, "Okay, kid, bend over."
Oh my God.
And Jeremy Lyle screamed. Yeah, Jeremy's going to be pissed I said that story. But, but that was kind of fun we had. So this is the only place I've told that story. So Jeremy's going to kill me later. But that was the fun part of it. And Jeremy sucked it up, took it like the rookie he was at the time, and it was all in fun. And
he was one of my trainers. I'm glad he never paid that part forward.
we were going to get you, but Bull was not around anymore. So yeah, we're going to let you meet Bull. You love that one. But
I'm not Bull now, but I was a little more seasoned by then.
Yeah. Bull like to show his snake eyes, yeah. But
so he's like a little beast or a bigger beast.
Yeah, well, something along that line. But Jeremy, he doesn't give a lot of props that he probably should have had. A lot of people don't really give him what he's done. He's had his ups and downs like all of us have, and Jeremy's paid his dues, and why not? It was a good time to put him in.
Yeah, he definitely has. I mean, shoot, if I remember correctly, he was either 15 or 16 when he started.
Right.
Yeah, geez. I came in when he was actually Lightfoot. He was a skinny kid. And it was, it's always weird when you come in and he's younger than you, but he's teaching you how to do it.
Oh yeah, he grew up in the business. He was one of worked with Frank Reed and those guys, and came up through the business, and he was one to listen and learn, and that was a great thing, and he learned to play different personas when he needed to, and like most of the wrestlers, most of the times some of us have more than one gimmick and more than one thing to do, and a lot of people out there don't understand what it requires to make a show work. So, but stepped up when he needed to step up, took his bumps, took his falls, didn't complain,
I remember watching the chop battles back and
forth
with him and his opponents.
Well, I just found the one with him and Amish spaghetti wrestling. So I just found that DVD. Yeah, I found that DVD where they both sat down in the ring, started eating the spaghetti, then started throwing it at each other, and all hell broke loose,
There's a match on YouTube, actually there's 3 of them, where he went with Waco, and it was 73 chops in one match.
Oh, you gotta love that, yeah. No, I'm good on that, yeah. Because I remember going to Tennessee with Moondog, and they had a young kid that was kind of like you, Bobby, coming up and thought he could take everything under the sun. He was just before the show, and he told everybody, said, "I can take anybody's chops." And me and Dog, we kind of looked at each other going, "Really?" This is too easy, and the guys were lined up chopping him, and they looked at us and said, "You guys, come on, man, get your chops in." Me and Dog looked at each other and says, I told Dog go first. He went, and then I went next. And then by the time that kid left, he had blood going down his chest and had an ice pack on the rest of the show. I bet you don't say that again.
Don't know.
Yeah. They say, "Oh, you just referee."
Fan that asked for you to chop him as hard as you could in that show.
Yeah.
It was last year.
Yeah, I remember it. But I seen Doc post about it, and I had to remind him. I said, "Man, you even managed me, some matches as well."
Yeah.
So yeah. If you were involved in wrestling, Doc was involved somehow.
Somehow, somewhere, yeah. Yeah,
You
either he got you outside the ring or inside the ring, but Doc got a hold of you somehow, some way. So like I said, a lot of people don't realize that because they really don't know, don't see it, don't know it like we do.
yeah.
And then, like I said, let me throw a couple things out there. Jerry Bullion this year was going to be Patrick, but stuff happened. We moved on. So nobody went under Jerry. But next year in 2025, what better person to put in than his sister Peggy's going to go under the Jerry Bullion Award 2025.
Oh, dang.
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
already talked to her, so she's aware of it. So I can announce that.
There you go.
So
I was like, she has not slowed down since his passing either. She is at
oh my
all
God.
kinds of shows every week.
She goes to all of them. She goes to every independent show I can think of. I've seen her at CHWA. I've seen her at a couple. I was like, holy cow, what don't she go to?
Right.
So it
Yeah.
was
Well
her and
deserved there.
Jerry. It was her and Jerry when I made the transition from Broadway to SICW. It's like, man, who are these fans? They're always been there at every show. Like I was not a nice guy back then when I transitioned over there, and it was like those are always my targets. Like I knew they were getting in.
Oh, especially Jerry. Jerry would stand up and point that finger right back at you and tell you how he was going to take you out back and beat the piss out of you.
Jerry's what started my saying in the ring. That's how I remember Jerry. Jerry's the one that used to yell at me all the time. Say, "Ref, can't you count to 5?" And I just wanted to say, "Yeah, 1, 2, 5." And that's how
Jerry would get intense at those shows, and I remember running into him at a McDonald's in Belleville on his lunch break. I'm like, just the nicest freaking guy you could talk to. Like,
awesome guy.
Me aside at McDonald's.
Yeah. I used to call him on the phone
every weekend, and you're just like, all right, let's go.
Yeah, Peggy would call me and say, "Hey, Jerry's down. Can you give him a call?" I say, "Absolutely." I'd give him a call and talk to him and stuff. But Jerry was, oh man, he was so much fun. That's how 1-2-5 got started. That's how that chant got going around the ring. 1-2-5, 1-2-5. Me and Jerry got that going. Jerry got me started on that. I don't know why out of the blue I just said, "Yeah, I want to mess with him." And I said, "Yeah, 1-2-5," and he carried it on from there and never stopped after that. So yeah, I owe Jerry a lot. So that's why it was great to put him in.
Do you? I know let's see here. This time around, I ended up going to a celebration of life for Drew that day, and then last year I was working. I was wrestling that day. But do you guys normally do it in June? Has it always been in June?
Since we started Andres, it's been June. We do it because July is vacation. A lot of people are gone in July on vacations. September is kind of rough because they're just coming back from vacations. They're still doing vacations.
Right.
June just made kind of sense for most of us. So like I tell you right now, I'm on the verge of booking for next year, which would be June 22nd of 2025. So
22nd. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make sure
we're both marking it down. Hold on a second.
Look at all this breaking news you're getting. I got them all reaching for pins. What do you think?
Well, I'll tell you what. I would love. I reached out to you last week, and I told you I'm sorry that I should have had you on like a week prior or 2 weeks prior. So I want you to hold me to that. That next year we are going to get you on. 1 or 2 weeks prior, maybe even a month prior, so that way, if we can help you get some sponsors,
absolutely,
put it on. I mean, that would be, and maybe then have you back the week prior, so that way we can, get you as much publicity, because we share the shit out of this podcast, trying to get it all over Facebook and YouTube and Instagram. So if we can help you out on getting any sponsorships or any kind of cash flow headed your way to put this on, I mean, I would love to, because what you do, I there's no words for it, because you're the one that's putting like that gold star on all of us independent wrestlers that that put our bodies on the line, and sometimes some of the guys only have a couple years that they get to do this, because they get hurt or injured or something sidelines them. But to know
5
that
to
they
6
had
months.
put their stamp in, just means the world to everyone. So anything that we can do to help you out, we're going to try to do. And again, I want to say sorry that I didn't have you on prior to this year's banquet. And I'm definitely going to try, as long as I'm not booked somewhere, I'm going to try to hit this up next year because, to me, it's like walking into a family reunion.
Oh, that's what everybody said. Yeah, they said it's like to hear the stories and talk about the past and see all people where they realize what a brotherhood and sisterhood it really is. And Blackheart Award is just that for those guys that end up getting injured or couldn't come back in the ring because of an injury or something of that sort. That's kind of where the Blackheart Award comes in that John does, where he picks a person that he feels deserves to be in there, even though he or she did not have a lot of time to actually be in the ring, but were paying their dues, showing they wanted to do it, and some kind of severe injury or something happened or illness that took them out where they had to stop and couldn't do it no more. And that's kind of what John bases his award on. So that's one of those things we do.
That
Hey,
is
two
totally
questions
awesome.
for you, Jimmy. One,
Yeah.
when you get your Blackheart Award for your injury? And two, do you have any place where anybody that can passively give you any funds to help you with the June of next year?
Okay, where's the first one again with Blackheart? Sorry, I
Your
missed that.
Blackheart Award, you got injured only after 5 to 6 months. You didn't get to wrestle. When are you going to get your Blackheart Award?
Well, actually, I got mine for being the referee commissioner. I'm already in there, so it worked out great. Blackheart, I think, still owes me something, but he won't give it to me. Matter of fact, if I went with Blackheart, what he wants to do, we would be getting up at hot dogs, hamburgers, and a soda and a beer. So,
It sounds like a good dinner to me.
yeah, that's why Blackheart's on the board, but I have the final say. So, you're right. I think I deserve a Blackheart award. I got injured, didn't get a chance to do what I wanted to do, but I ended up refereeing, so I got in under the referee side of it. So it worked out. And I'm actually considered referee, promoter, commissioner, blah, 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 all that good stuff. So I do have my own little brand that we haven't got a good start on yet because we were so busy with Hall of Fames and stuff and COVID hit. But I do own the St. Louis Championship Pro Wrestling title right now. So we just haven't done a whole lot with it yet that we wanted to. I think this year we're looking at possibly starting something this year or next year.
That's awesome.
So if you want, you can get together with Jim and we can set up a segment just for that if you want.
Absolutely. That'd be awesome. Yeah. Get Blackheart on here. He can tell you all kinds of stories. You may not ever get off here, but it'd be a great time to tell stories.
We can make it a
yeah, right. John's a great guy. I mean, I can't talk bad about any of my guys that are on my hall, my board of directors, and you get John and you get Mama Love on here, you may never get her off either. So she's another one. She's a talker. Gotta love her. But next year,
her or Herb Simmons?
It's gonna be a tough competition. They're gonna be run neck and neck, I think. But next year is going to be pretty big, so we're kind of expecting a possible big crowd if all these people accept that we got so far. And I've heard nothing but good stuff. Pete Madden's going in 2025, so he'll be coming in town for that. And then we're going to be doing an event September 14th down at Broadway. Al Bowman had asked me to be in. Apparently, they're getting all the old wrestlers from the 80s and 70s, 80s wrestlers to come in. I guess it's an anniversary down at Broadway for the wrestlers, and he's asking a bunch of us to come in, do autographs and sign and talk, and I think there's going to be a wrestling show that night as well too. So, we're doing that. A lot of people that were at the hall this year are coming for that, so a lot of them are going to be in for that. And then we're also looking at. I have talked to him; he has accepted. And you're the first ones I've said it on this show. Steven Sharp is going into the St. Louis Wrestling Hall of Fame.
Nice.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I've already talked to him. So he is going in. So that's one of my big ones. So I said we may have a lot of people want to get in to see this next year.
you know, if you are going to have Steven Sharp, you might also have his brother Kevin Sharp. You might also get the brothers involved.
Yeah, I get the brothers involved. I don't feel like refereeing, so no, we're just gonna do Steve this time. And we're also gonna put.
That sounds awesome right there. That's some good start right there.
Yeah, we're also gonna go ahead and put Harley Racing with us too. So he's going in this year as well.
Hey.
So, and then Ed Smith is my other one, and that's all I'm going to give you.
That is awesome, man. I mean, I can't say no to any of those guys. They're all well deserved.
You could just end it right there, and that's a great class.
Yeah.
Right. And I still got a few more to go. Yeah. So, yeah, we're gonna. Looks like right now we got 14 people going in next year. So.
Woo, that's why you need that extra hour.
Yeah, I need that extra hour. Yeah. And so I thought we got to start cutting these down a little bit. These getting a little expensive, but you know,
like we're gonna have to start putting a timer on you guys. 10 minutes speech. Get off the mic.
Well, they all remember the pencil.
So what is that, like the Golden Globes where you start playing the music?
Right. Yeah. Right. I thought about doing that, and then they all remembered because Damian Blade was there, and we all talked about that. So the signal we all remember seeing was the pencil. Remember, everybody used to hold the pencil up. You see the pencil go up. That was your time. As I told him, I'm going to buy a big pencil and walk around, and you don't stop, I'm going to hit you in the head with it.
People just flies on the stage.
Right.
That's awesome.
So, you get smacked in the head with a big yellow pencil. It was your time to stop.
Well, again, anything that we can do, we'll try to help you out in. And I am so honored that we were able to have you on the show tonight. To me, you're always going to be the boss, which is, some people look at it a little weird because, truly you were never my promoter or promoter I worked for, but I still call you the boss.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah, that's the nickname that'll never leave your side there. And I think a lot of the wrestlers just know you as the boss.
Yeah.
But, I'm just it's an honor to have you here. So when I told the guys tonight, when I told them last week who I was going to have on, Bob, Nate. We're bringing Nate into the fold on the wrestling world. He was never a wrestler or ref or anything like that, but me and Nate used to work with each other, and I've kind of dragged him along. And he's a great technical guy, so he actually does the videotaping for all the SICW shows.
Awesome.
Yeah, so he gets that all wrapped up for Herb, and then he talked to me kind of about starting this, and I was like, well, we got to bring Bobby D in because he was partners with me first in a long YouTube podcast that we won't mention anymore. But it was great to have you on. I don't want to take too much more of your time. Plus, in the world of YouTube, anything over 2 hours, the attention span just goes away for the audience.
Yeah, you got that right.
Yeah,
it's the ADA stuff.
right. But yeah, we'll love to get you back on multiple times. We'll plug the show and then plug the Hall of Fame. Anytime you want to come on, we'll bring you on because it's such.
I appreciate that. Well, it's great. I appreciate you. Thank you guys so much. It's an honor to be on here with you guys, and knowing that I worked with you guys when you started.
Yes.
You guys were babies when you came to me, but but we've had so much fun, and thank you guys for allowing me to do what I did with you guys and booking you guys on different things. So I appreciate that, and
that was my pleasure.
Before we
had
go,
fun.
I always got to throw it out. If you guys in the audience like what you hear, like what you see, please like, subscribe, share, ring, click on that bell so you get all the videos as soon as they premiere on YouTube. Of course, we always share it out to Facebook, but definitely like, comment, That's what gets us back into a good algorithm and gets this broadcast to a lot more people. So thank you for coming on, Jimmy. And I'm just going to wrap you up. So number 69 is in the books. Thank you for coming into the Squared Ring podcast. And until next time, we will see you. See you guys.
Hey, Nathan.